Hey, this is Eli Campbell. You know, Steamboat is renowned worldwide for skiing, biking, and all that our natural playground has to offer. We're fortunate, though, that the natural beauty here attracts more than just outdoor enthusiasts. From local legends to world-class acts, amazing musicians regularly play the venues in our little corner of Northwest Colorado. Join me as I explore the stories and experiences of these talented artists who bring unforgettable performances to Steamboat. This is your Steamboat Soundcheck. Eli Campbell here with you. It is your Steamboat Soundcheck. I'm excited to be joined today by Barrett Smith, guitar player and bassist for the Grammy Award-winning Steep Canyon Rangers, who will be playing the Strings Music Pavilion here in Steamboat July 19th. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Happy to be talking to you. Having to see that Colorado landscape behind you is making me feel good.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day here in Steamboat. Looks beautiful there where you are in Asheville.
Beautiful here
Now,
too. Yeah.
yeah, now of course, Steep Canyon Rangers, they're based out of the Appalachian Mountains there in North Carolina.
Mhm.
Certainly, though, Colorado has played a big part of the story of the band. Not only did the band get a big boost in the early days, winning the Rocky Grass Festival competition back in 2001, but I don't even know, were you aware that according to Spotify data, supposedly you have more monthly listeners here in Colorado than you do in your own home state of North Carolina?
Wow. How about that?
I've asked a few other bluegrass musicians whose roots are kind of in the birthplace of the genre. I'm curious on your thoughts of why this music that was born out of the mountains of North Carolina relates so easily to music lovers here in the mountains out west.
Got so many ideas about that. It's something we've talked about and thought about a lot. I mean, in the early days of the band, it was like, we just want to get to Colorado because we like it there, and where we are in these beautiful mountains and there's a there's an emphasis on getting outside and enjoying the outdoors here where we are, and we there was like a kinship with that when we visited Colorado. We were like, oh yeah, Colorado's like us, and way more so actually.
Yeah.
So we started saying, oh man, that's a place we want to be. Also, there's a music lover situation in Colorado that's like you can picture us like in our early 20s, and I was playing in different bands at the time, but same deal. Leaving Western North Carolina and like traversing the like, what to us was almost like a vast expanse of like places we didn't want to be before we
Yeah.
got to Colorado. It's like we would just drive through the night just to get to Colorado because we were like, all right, there are people. It's like an oasis out there. And sure enough, man, we found so many fans and friends and have a whole life out specifically in Colorado. And it was at a time where like leftover salmon was coming out. This is a long time ago now, but
Yeah.
they were really blowing up at the time. And then after that, Yonder Mountain String Band. So there was a birthing of like just a new take on bluegrass music that was more kind of like more aligned with our values. We really appreciated the way Colorado looked at live music and especially acoustic music. It made sense to us, and we wanted in. And so it's good. I'm glad we have a place in Colorado.
Yeah, and you've got a handful of shows coming up here this summer in Colorado. Now, some casual bluegrass fans may know the Steep Canyon Rangers as the band that played with Steve Martin, but that was really only 3 albums of your 14 complete, total. You joined the band after the last album that Steve Martin was kind of with the band was released. That must have been kind of an interesting time to join the Steep Canyon Rangers.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of always an interesting time to join this band because it's like there's just always things moving and changing and happening. It's like it's a dynamic kind of animal and machine. And yeah, so that yeah, it was sad to me to miss out on some of those things, like recording with Steve and some of the shows that were happening at that time. Although like we really are, the relationship is really strong still. We still perform. Like one of our shows, we'll play at Red Rocks in a few weeks now, and that'll be with Steve Martin and Martin
Yeah.
Short. That's when we play with them now. It's like the Steve Martin and Short kind of comedy show, and we're almost like a house band kind of
Yeah.
thing in that show. So we still hang out quite a bit, and the relationship is strong and really sweet and good and fun.
Yeah, and I was kind of curious, and you touch on it a little bit. Do you find that you have people that are coming to your shows And through this relationship, you're able to introduce them to the Steep Canyon Rangers. They're really coming not necessarily to see you guys as much as the band that played with Steve Martin, even when he's not there.
100%. I mean, it's a big boost. I mean, Red Rocks holds what, like 10,000 people, So then you got 10,000 people who came to see, mostly just came to see Steve Martin. And then, we put on a good show within that show. And he gives us a spotlight for a little while too and says, hey, just play some music. And we do. And yeah, it's hard to gauge, but I think we've, just from talking to people after shows, I think we've won a lot of fans in that way because they said, hey, I didn't know who they were. I just came to see Steve Martin, but
Yeah.
I like this band. Let's go see them next time they're in town. I think it's a real boost for us.
Now, Steve Martin's not the only interesting collaboration that you guys have worked with. Back in 2020, you did a song with a band whose tapes and CDs were kind of worn out in my house as a
Right.
child with Boys to Men. And I have to ask, who came up with the idea to bring together R&B singers from Philly with bluegrass pickers from North Carolina?
It was crazy. This great guy here in Asheville, Michael Selvern, who was like he was this kind of high profile, from what I understand, music attorney throughout most of his life. But then he moved to Asheville and like he kind of became a producer, really. And he became a buddy of ours. He's just a great character. We love him. And we had this project where we were working with the Asheville Symphony, and he became the producer for that. We just kind of inherited him, and then we got to be good friends. And he just was naming all these big names that he wanted to have on the record to collaborate with us, all these crazy big names, and we were like, yeah, God, I guess so. And Boys to Men kept on coming up, and we were like, yeah, I doubt that'll ever happen. And sure enough, man, they heard the song and they liked it. And then they were on the recording with, and then we hung out with them, and we played a show, Boys to Men. It was hilarious, and they were great dudes. I mean, as great as they were back then, and you wore out the tapes and CDs, and I did too, man, let me tell you, those dudes on stage, they're just the best singers. They're the best, strong, beautiful singers. They still got it. They're
Yeah.
awesome.
I
We've
mean,
lost touch, but now, it was good while it lasted.
one of those collaborations you wouldn't necessarily think of, but it is an absolutely beautiful song.
Yeah,
And
it's a beautiful recording.
yeah, now last fall you released your 14th studio album with Morning Shift. I saw where Graham Sharp, your lead vocalist, banjo player, one of the founding members of the band, said that this was kind of an album that brought together the past, the present, and the future for the band. Is that a
Mhm.
feeling that was kind of shared by the whole band, and how does that translate into the music that you recorded for that album?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that album caught us at an interesting moment, because and a lot of this pertains to Steamboat specifically, strangely, because we lost a founding member of the band and gained a new member, right. And this was the first album that we had done where Woody Platt, who was just like foundational to the band, it was just time for him to leave the road and your family and this and that, and all good terms, of course, and we're all like, we love each other just as much as we always did, but it was just time for him to retire from the road, which he did. And then we took on this new guy, Aaron Burdett, who's turned into a great friend and a huge asset to the band. It's a great singer and writer, and it has worked out really well. The transition, as scary as it was, we've really landed in a good spot, and we're like kind of like better than we've ever been. We sometimes say these days, but it pertains to Steamboat specifically because Strength played it in Steamboat the last time we were there.
Yeah.
That ended up actually being the last time that Woody played with us.
Oh, wow.
It was like one of the biggest kind of like momentous nights in the history of the band, that like it was the end of the road for this guy who like was one of the founding members and just you know you know essential to the band. How could we go on without him? And now here we are coming back to Steamboat after this, like, whatever, these few years, and just being so excited to bring to Steamboat what we are right now. After that transition, again, was a little scary, but man, what we're bringing now, we're just like, we're more excited than we've been in a long time about this band and the music we're making. So anyway, to answer your question, Morning Shift that's the main thing about Morning Shift. It was this transitional, and we were happy with it. We loved that album.
So to piggyback off of that a little bit, for the fans that maybe saw that show and have seen you in the past, but this is their first opportunity to see Steep Canyon Rangers without Woody Platt. Is this going to be a notably different experience, or I mean, it's still rooted in folk and bluegrass traditions,
Mhm.
but what will they notice?
Um, I mean, like losing Woody is bad. Like you don't, Woody's just awesome. He's like a great presence and like just such a huge figure in the band. Um, and eh, and gaining Aaron is huge and wonderful because he brings a whole new thing and he's really good and like fits with the band really well. So it's like, it's this mixed good bad thing here that ends us up in like a real net positive, it seems to us, because not only did we take on this great character and this great dude, but in that transition, everyone else also in the band had to, since everything was shaky, everyone in the band changed and kind of like pumped themselves up a little bit. And everybody started singing a little more, and everybody just kind of upped their game. So the transition, like, strangely made the band really strong. Even never mind who was coming and going, just the people who were staying, we all changed, and that change like really changed the band somewhat. So is it a big change? I mean, in a way, it's not. Like we're still the same band, and we're still rooted in the things that we were rooted in for sure. We're still the same, but it's distinctly, subtly different. Um, and it's hard, better, worse. Generally better. I mean, change brings out. It's hard. It's weird to say like we're better off without Woody. I would never say that. Nobody wanted Woody to leave. That wasn't something we asked for. But in the end, the change seems to have made us stronger, and we're almost like we're better now.
Well,
Which is
sometimes,
cool.
yeah, sometimes change makes you enter a place of discomfort, which makes you have to work harder or do things a little different and explore more. So, how does that work for the band as you move into the future? This album being a kind of culmination of the past into the present. And I always try to stay present minded focused, but with also kind of saying it's taking you into the future. What does the future look like for the band?
We're excited. I mean, we're like as excited as we've ever been because it's still kind of forming the whole thing. And yet, like, as opposed to right in the heat of the transition, we've really settled into something that's like the shows they're really good, and they aren't like, not that they were ever shaky, but there was some uncertainty, and that lasted into the transition a little bit. That uncertainty is like 100% gone. The band is like fully more confident than ever, and it's still, it like I say, it's still forming. So we're really excited because it's things are happening fast with the band. As old as we are and as long as we've been around, we have this whole new, like, a big breath of fresh air happening right now, like a new kind of feeling, and it's coming out like in the songwriting. A lot is the main thing. It's in like song that we're putting out there, we're like, this is a damn good song. Like if anybody's actually listening to this, they're gonna really dig it and like be moved. So the songwriting is good. All the singing is really great right now. It's the same show with one person different.
Well, Steep Canyon Rangers playing the Strings Music Festival on July 19th. It's going to be an incredible show. You, I believe, have about 5 or 6 shows coming up here in Colorado altogether this summer. So, plenty of opportunities for fans to see you.
Yeah.
And of course, you can hear more music from the Steep Canyon Rangers on the Steamboat Locals app, the locals' choice for music here in the Yampa Valley. Thank you very much for joining us.